Oh, come on.
Yes, yes.
How did you think of that circular design? And what medium, I mean, it's glass, but what kind of surface is it?
Well, I don't know if I'm yelling, I'm not used to microphones. I was thinking of the target shape, which specifically goes with the theme that we are all targets. However, I've done other work that's in circular format, so it was kind of a natural decision to make. The piece is actually made of cut vinyl that's applied to, usually I apply them directly to the wall so that the building is part of the art. But here it needed to be movable, so it's applied to a PVC material called Sintra and covered with plexiglass. It's cut with a computer. I use a computer to cut the lines, but then I pull all the negative space out by hand. So there's a good deal of manual labor, even though there's some computer machine labor too. Sure.
Other questions? I could not get my computer to do that. I just want you to know. You say, oh, there's some manual labor involved, but I'm going, yeah, right.
Well, I have another machine that's kind of like a printer, only it has a very sharp knife attached to it.
Yes. Yes. Last question for Margie, and then we'll continue.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for your art. The symbol you use for the target, obviously it's widely accepted. It's traditionally an archery target. Is there any other symbol that denotes universally a target in the light of like gun violence?
Oh yeah, I've done a whole series of work, and yes, certainly there are other. There's in fact a black silhouette that's universally used for gun target practice, and I've used that in pieces, and it's very poignant.
Okay. Thank you all very much for tolerating, well, I don't know. I don't like things where we all sit and look at somebody for extended periods of time, so I actually appreciate the break. So we're going to continue on with the panel, Civility and Creativity, Constellating Communities.
I think we're practicing civility. You're being flexible and gracious and generous, so thank you. There are several different parts to this presentation, and let me say now that there is a performance piece out in the lobby, I think, or it could be outdoors. I'm not sure exactly. I think when I'm finished with my small piece, we can go out again, if you don't mind, and see the third component. So Marilyn Zimmerwoman is our main presenter, and she brought me into the fold. I'm not from the Fine Arts College, but I live right down the hall in art education. And it was always kind of a dilemma how we could get along together and do things together and be good neighbors, because there weren't structures in the university that allowed us to co-teach or whatever. It was just hard. So we, I think really thanks to Marilyn, have done some programs and activities together and just learned about who each other is. And so we thought that was one aspect of civility, interacting together, knowing how to communicate with one another. I just had a variety of sort of mismatched pieces that I want to just tell you about that I thought about for this presentation. And so I'm from art therapy, and 10 years or more ago, after the 9/11 attacks, we typically had a little conference in our department, and we decided that we needed to step back and have a restoration and renewal sort of a weekend, and not a conference where we brought in a speaker. We need to kind of step back, regroup, and kind of restore ourselves and renew ourselves. So, in putting this together, we tried to develop some healing spaces. And this is what we did with the lobby of the Community Arts Building. We made a labyrinth, and so this was up for the weekend, and people could walk the labyrinth. We had an empty bowl luncheon, where an artist, many artists in fact, donated ceramic bowls. Is anyone unfamiliar with empty bowls? So, lunch is prepared, you pay for your lunch, but you get to keep the bowl, and the proceeds for lunch go to a charity or organization that responds to hunger, and you keep the bowl to remember that someone's bowl is always empty. So it's a kind of a civil, a beautiful practice. You see here on the table some other mandalas that people were making. Some artists talk about Margi's work as being mandala, which means circle in Sanskrit. And a circle is a shape in the universe that's, brings people together, centers people. So those are just some mandala drawings. Another use of the circle would be making a big dream catcher on a hula hoop. You can see the close proximity in which people must sit to create this project. So, what I'm doing is just kind of like throwing out some ideas about creating civil spaces, practices, and you can just hopefully maybe they'll inspire you in some way. And this slide is about an article that was in the paper near the time of 9/11 saying that craft stores like Michael's and Joy Fabrics had record sales. And I thought, as an art therapist, I thought, well, that's interesting. And I wondered if it was like our response. Well, we just needed to kind of come together, be with each other, make art together, not have a formal conference that year. There is an art historian and researcher, Ellen Disnayika, who postulated that art is what has helped humanity to exist and sustain itself over many years. That the fact that objects like spears for hunting that were made specially helped the hunter to spiritually psych himself up for the hunt, for the successful hunt. But that maybe art has evolved over the years as a behavior that has advantages for human survival. So, mull on that for a little bit. And this is a quote that I liked from a book by the author Gail Straub, and she quotes Thomas Merton: "The rush and pressure of modern life are a form of innate violence. To allow oneself to be carried away by a multitude of conflicting concerns, to surrender to too many demands, to commit oneself to too many projects, to want to help everyone and everything, is to succumb to violence." As university people, I know we can relate to that on some level. This is an image from a student's journal as she approached her internship and how everything was mounting ahead of her. How could she sort it out? Also, another author that I like is Marianne Williamson. And in her book, The Gift of Change, she says, who we ourselves become, how we grow and change and face the challenges in our own lives, is intimately and casually connected to how the world will change over the next few years. This is kind of an older book. But for the world is a projection of our individual psyches, collected on a global screen, and it is hurt or healed by every thought we think. To whatever extent I refuse to face the deeper issues that hold me back, to the extent that the world will be held back. And so whatever extent I find the miraculous key to the transformation of my own life, to that extent, I will help change the world. So Gail Straub, back to Gail Straub, has a book called The Rhythm of Compassion, and she uses the metaphor of breathing. Breathe in, care for self. Breathe out, care for the world. And kind of just use that as a mantra. think of your breath. And so these are slides are a little bit mixed up. But Gail Straub says that we can all be better teachers, healers, people, if we remember to show compassion to ourselves first. And so that might seem a little, we don't want to just focus on ourselves entirely, but remember to take care of yourselves first, and then we can care for others. Some other healing practices in the art building are tea at 3. And this is just a poster of that. You can just drop in and have tea at 3 o'clock. They have mugs of tea, and just meet whoever is there. Some students drawing on the pond outside McGregor. So I just wanted to leave you with Gail Straub's metaphor of breathing and ask yourselves, how can you breathe in nourishment for yourselves so that you can go out and do your good work that you do. And now, I think that we are going to go out and see what performance we might have. Thank you.
Thank you.